Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures. And today we're doing another episode of our mod spotlights, our accurate dinosaur mod spotlights, where we take a look at a bunch of different mods that have been made to make the animals in the game, the dinosaurs, look more like their real-life fossil counterparts. So this one's been a bit more of a quiet one, just because these mods haven't been coming out as much as they used to. But there's still some really nice mods, and I'm really happy with this particular set I had, because there's a good mix. There's some Jagged Fang design ones in here. There's also some really nice mods that have really been slept on species that have been slept on. And so I'll be starting out with that, and I'm really excited to get into this one just because there's so many interesting kind of animals that have been put in this one. So yeah, we're going to be starting off with our herbivores as usual. We're going to start with our... I need to remember who... I'll put the links, of course. I'm not sure who made this. I can't really remember who made it off the top of my head, but this is a couple paleo edits, and these are really good edits. I'll make sure to put them in the description as usual, and so we'll be starting off with Huangosaurus. This is a nice looking boy. So let's stop it right here. Shift. We'll make C. We'll have a look at this guy when he stopped walking or running. Just make sure. Look at this beautiful boy. Hadn't really seen much Huangosaurus mods, so it's really cool to see one coming through. So this little guy is from the Middle Jurassic and lived with animals like Omisaurus and Sinosauropteryx, which are pretty famous. Okay, let's stop it here. We could just have a look here. Very cool little guy, found in China. So it's not too different from a lot of other stegosaurs, especially these Chinese stegosaurs. A lot of them have these kind of spikes and stuff. Very interesting looking animal. It's not a very particularly big animal, more 4 meters long. Which is still pretty big by most standards, but it's like a smaller sized stegosaur. So this is a very, very basal stegosaur in its own family called Huangosauridae. So it's a very, very young, it's a very, very old ancestor to a lot of the later stegosaurs, Chinese ones. It's very, very basal. And it's very much different because it has a very broad skull and it has teeth. And a lot of the later stegosaurs lost a lot of their teeth on the premaxilla, which is the bit at the front of the snout. So it's a pretty cool one. And then we'll just have a look at the body now. We can see the difference if you compare it to the old model. It's really been thinned up. You can see the neck's been elongated. A lot of these stegosaurs had very, very long necks comparatively, especially like Miragaia, which is kind of like the ultimate example of that. And even the most recent stegosaur reconstructions really have that longer neck. So we can see the neck's been elongated. He's kind of had a bit of a tummy tuck, you could say, so to speak. You can see these really, really powerful front legs. We can see from specimens of Huangosaurus they have the very, very stocky front legs, along with these very nice spikes and all of these thagomizers on the back here. You can see these cool little thagomizers with a little blunt on the tail. They're very famous for what all stegosaurs have, and we have these plates on the back. Looks really, really nice. The only things I would really change, let's have a look at the feet. The only thing I'd really change is the texture, just because the texture looks a little weird. But a lot of these mods kind of have a weird texture just because it's kind of weirdly stretched. But it doesn't look too bad either here, I think. Get a look at the feet. You can see it's got the proper toes, all that. It's kind of hard to see with the grass, but you can kind of see that. And with the back feet here, it's got the proper toes and everything. Looks really, really nice. So let's watch them drink. Having a laugh, having a good time. So yeah, this guy's from the Middle Jurassic. Very wonderful looking boy. He looks great. Watch him have a little drink. So it's not too really distinct from other stegosaurs, but it tells a lot about their evolution just because it's such a basal animal. So even though it might not be the most interesting animal, you can still learn a lot, especially from having animals like that. It's related to like Chunkingosaurus, which is also in the game, of course. Those two belong kind of in that group, Huangosaurus, which is quite basal to other Stegosaurus. See him have a feed there. Look at him having love and life. I really like this pattern on him, though. I think the pattern that they had for the base Huangosaurus actually still looks really nice. I gotta be honest. I think that looks great. Watch him have an eat. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Very, very cute. So now I think we'll move on to the next guy. So this one's pretty cool. We have got Crichtonsaurus, and I should probably explain once I get this out and have a look that the name has gotten a bit of a change over time. So let's have a look at this little guy. Look at this guy's really, really cute. Look at him. It's quite adorable. So let's have a look at him running through. Tilt. Got to remove that tilt. Yeah. So let's have a look at him. Look at him go. He's bounding across. We'll wait for him to get here and then take a look at him. So we can see a lot of those weird plates on it that kind of been fixed up. Let's have a look. Look at this. I really like this little guy. It looks really, really cute. Look at those big eyes. He's like staring. What the heck? You can see a lot of the changes. He's not really known from too much, but he's still a very, very cool looking animal. From the only Cinnamanian, which is about 99 to 95 million years ago, and is what's really cool is that it's a very, very basal, along with, well, not along with, but similar to Huangosaurus, is a very, very basal ankylosaurine. So it's like a really, really early ancestor to things like Panocasaurus and a lot of those later ankylosaurs, including the famous Ankylosaurus. So we can have a look at him there. I think he's really, really cute. I really, really like this guy. You can see the fixed up face. The specimen doesn't have a skull, so you don't really know much, but we have a lot of... It's a smaller ankylosaur, about 3 to 4 meters long, not particularly huge, but still very interesting. And it's actually unknown whether they have a tail club, so because they're really basal, we're not sure if they had a tail club, but it's very possible that they did, so probably had the interpretation here. And I think it looks really nice. I really like the texture on this one, actually. I really like the big scales. I think it looks really nice. I actually like this a lot more than the one that's already in game. I was really hoping that someone would kind of do a mod like this, because I feel like a lot of these other animals are kind of slept on onto these accuracy mods. I really hope that there's a couple more of them coming around. I think it's awesome. So yeah, let's have a more of a looky-loo. So the thing about its name is that it was named after Michael Crichton, who was, of course, the novel writer for Jurassic Park and The Lost World Jurassic Park, along with other things that I've read, like Prey. And Next, that's another good one. It's like about genetic technology, and it's a really interesting read. I recommend you kind of go through, look at a lot of his books, because they're very interesting reads. And unfortunately, he died, I think, in 2008. So this was kind of a... Crichtonsaurus was named after him to kind of remember him. But in 2014, it was found that Crichtonsaurus is kind of a nomen dubium, which means it's kind of out of the air because it's not really attributed to certain remains or anything. It's kind of just like, well, you gave the name, it's whatever. We don't know we don't really know what you're talking about then. So it really got the new name Cryopelta, which Crichtonpelta, which is obviously refers to Michael Crichton again, so that keeps that homage, which is really cool. And I think that Crichtonpelta kind of sounds better than Crichtonsaurus, but still very, very nice animal. We can have a look. You can see the toes, proper little toes. I'm missing the digits at the back there, but you could probably say they're just hidden by flesh. It was really, really nice. Little footsies at the front. Looks adorable. Have a look at the top of him. Let's see, yeah, look at that. Look at those beautiful osteoderms. Very cute little boy. See, a very, very interesting little dinosaur. And again, a lot of these basal dinosaurs are important for showing the evolution of species that are probably more famous. So every species, even if they don't look the most visually interesting, they often can teach us a lot about evolution and a lot of other things about dinosaurs that we know and love. So it's really, really cool to see. He looks really cute there. I really like his little face and his big eyes. I think he looks adorable. This one you kind of had a lot of leeway with because there isn't too much known from Cryopelta. Looks really, really nice though. With a couple, there's a few specimens with the skull and all that. Still really, really nice. I like it a lot. He's having a little feed. So we don't know about the tail club, but still a very interesting little boy. He's a needed tail club to be cool. And he looks cool just the way he is with his little chunky face. He's really cute. Okay, so now that we're done with this guy, we're going to move on to the next animal. So this one I've obviously showcased a few times, but this is a new one. It's made by the same guy that did these other two. Here we have got Apatosaurus. So this is a really nice one. We can exit out of that and go into a watch her walk about. So we can see a lot of the changes have been made just to make it compare the original model. We can see the there's some new science that came out, new papers that suggest that I think I've mentioned this a couple times, is that sauropod sacral vertebrae, or the vertebrae in between the hips, was angled at like depending on the group at a certain degrees. I think for Diplodocids, which includes Apatosaurus, is kind of 15 degree, not 45. That's far too much, but like a 15-degree angle. So that kind of changes the profile of it a little bit, gives a little bit more of a upright posture like that. I think it looks quite nice though still. You can see a lot of the changes. Obviously the feet have been changed. It's actually starting to run a little bit. I really like the head posture. I think that looks great. So you can see the feet have been changed. It mentioned a lot about not having any toes. You can kind of see the toes there just because of the texture, but well, you know you can't. So that looks quite nice. Really nice to see those feetsies right at the back too. The tail has been extended quite a bit because Apatosaurines kind of have those, very charismatic for having these really long whip tails like the other Diplodocids, or Diplodocids, or however you want to pronounce it, but also have these very, very thick and powerful necks that we can see here. I think it looks wonderful. Look at that. The only thing I'd really change is the texture, because there's already the JFD one that's made, but it doesn't have that kind of right posture. So it'd be cool to see if they retrofitted that one, because I really like that one very much with the patterns and the beak and everything that it has. Beak, quote unquote. It's not really true beak, but I really like the texture and look of that one. If you just managed to modify that one with the posture of this, I think that'd be the perfect model for Apatosaurus. But yeah, I still really like this one. If you want to, because I know a lot of people complain about the jagged fang designs not looking the same as the base game animals, but if you want a base game animal that still looks accurate, you can just have a look at this guy. I think those are really awesome, having a nice drink. Look at that guy. He looks wonderful. I really like how robust he is. He's got these big, big front legs. A lot of people do very much under-muscle the... I think a lot of people confuse shrink wrapping with just putting lots of fat in your dinosaurs. So you can see here, he just looks big and bulky, and I'm really liking how this looks. They have these very columnar legs to help support their weight. Very similar to elephants. In a lot of ways, they're very similar to elephants just because they're both very large. And you see if he's going to come over for a feed. He's like, what the heck are you doing, Mr. Huangu? Curious. 11 life, having a go. See, watch out for feed. And I really like the thick body. Look at him, thick. You can maybe make the neck a little bit wider. That's probably what I could change. Very, very minor things. I think it still looks pretty great. I just like seeing nice feetsies, because everyone messes up the feetsies. But if you get the feetsies right, then you know you've got a good mod in my book. So just watch her having a walk over here. Wonderful gal. Having a feed. Rearing up. Nom 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 nom. I've got a hold on the sneeze. But that's alright, we'll have a look at the other guys while we're waiting. So that we have a... Look at you, I like having a nice graze. Look at you, you're having a good time. I like that a lot. It's really nice to see that even though the game's kind of... There's been a new mod pack or anything come out for a year. I believe the game's kind of finished development with the Turn to Jurassic Park last year. It's really nice to see there's still love and attention poured into this game, because it is quite a fun little game. It's not like the best game I've ever played, of course. It's just nice to have a dinosaur game that you can sit and watch your dinosaurs. I think that's the fun of it. Looking wonderful. Okay, so now that she's done, see what Crichtonsaurus called. There he is. Pinch to rename it Cryptonsaurus in game. You're sitting at the fence, what you up to? Silly cutie. I'm gonna sneeze. Better now. So now let's move on to another big sauropod. We're gonna move on to another Paleo-edit. We have got Mamenchisaurus. Quite liking this one. I believe these are all done by the same guy, really. We should do a little bit more research who made them, but I'll obviously put them in the description, of course. But here we've got a very, very, very nice Mamenchisaurus. So let's get a look for you in here and have a look at the feetsies. Got very correct feces. I keep saying feces by accident, but it's feetsies. So you can see it's got a very, very nice set of feet, the fleshy hoof and the big tortoise claws at the back. So if you're going to watch that forever, it's kind of been thinned up a bit. We can see the elongated tail with a bit of the club at the back, which they're quite famous for. A lot of these kind of Chinese, Asian early sauropods had that kind of club. You see, I really like this, the neck. I really like this little hump that you got at the back here, because there's a lot of big ligaments. If you look in giraffes, you kind of see that there's a big ligament that kind of holds the neck up at the angles that most animals have their necks at like 45 degrees. And it can be quite pronounced in animals like giraffes. So it's kind of cool to see that in a sauropod reconstruction, and I think it's really cool. And obviously Mamenchisaurus is very, very famous for having the longest, or one of the longest necks of all the sauropods, and all the dinosaurs, of course. So you can see that very, very long neck there. We can see the changes in the skull here. I believe this one is kind of... A lot of people choose Syndicanthodorum because there's quite a few different species of Mamenchisaurus that could be lump or split or whatever, and suggests it probably needs a revision, but there's a lot of species, and the largest one that's usually touted is Syndicanthodorum, which can get up to like 35 meters or so long. Very, very big animal. And this is like the skull looks like. It's got like a almost very brachiosaurid, not quite. A very big raised head. Having a chill there. Very, very raised nasal area, so you can be breathing. It's starting to bend down for a drink. Oh, watch her go down. Really nice to see the sauropods. I really like seeing sauropods just from the camera. It looks wonderful. Having a drink there. So yeah, these guys are obviously from China, of the Middle and Late Cretaceous. Well, not Cretaceous, Jurassic. You guys be like, oh no, he's talking wrong, but obviously sometimes my tongue slips a little bit, but yeah, these guys are from the late Jurassic. They're a very early group of sauropods. Kind of like the first ones that kind of got really big. Very, very interesting group. Looking at having a drink. She's pulling her head back up again. So again, this is another alternate to the Huangosaurus mod that the JFD made. This one's actually more based on the true Mamenchisaurus, the other one's based on Huangosaurus, which actually lived with Huangosaurus, where I can find her. Should be over there somewhere. Over there, I think, yeah. Lived with them in the same formation and area. So yeah, this is still pretty cool. I really like this guy. I like the thin legs and everything. Really given a tummy tuck, given a fix up on the anatomy. Looks really wonderful. So yeah, so now we're finally going to get to a Jagged Fang Designs one. This is not the base skin, but it's one of my favorite skins. We have got a good old Triceratops. Yeah, I gotta say, wow. So let's just watch her do her thing. She's galloping at the moment. Watch her stop over by her. So get a good look at her. Because obviously every time you release them, they all just run to get food. Let's just watch her get to a position. Okay, so that's a perfect place to give her a look. So I've been hanging out for a really good trike mod, and I'm really excited to finally see one. So we can see this is Triceratops prorsus, which is the later species. There's Horridus that evolved into prorsus through anagenesis, or just evolved into a new species. The main difference you can tell here is the skull, because Horridus had a very big boxy skull, while prorsus had a very long skull with a very prominent third horn on the nose. So that's very prominent. And we can see we've finally got one with accurate textures. And we can see, because we have pretty good skin mummification and remains of the skin in Triceratops. So we can see these very nice looking little scales here. We can see these very big, almost quote unquote nipple scales. And we can see a lot of the texture here, especially on the frill. We can see there's been a little bit of debate whether it had like a kind of keratin, flat keratin, or just scales, and a lot of the recent evidence suggests that it had a lot of just scales on the front of the frill here. So this is probably the most accurate representation of it. And I really like these little scales. It really just gives it another really nice texture. I really love it. And I really like the skin as well. I really like the bright orange and the white contrast and the frill. A little bit of blue there, looks nice too. And we can see he's got the right feetsies too. You can see the 3 toes. Jagged Fang Designs is always very good with their anatomy. You can see the shorter tail here. I'm really liking this one, especially with the texture. I really like that texture. You can see the nipple scales there. This we on the face here with the beak. And there has been some recent speculation of by Mark Whitten that's kind of caught on, that really gives a cool look to the scales, not the scales, the horns, that kind of, if you look at cores of mammals and mammal horns, they kind of grow over time and don't really flake, though it seems like they kind of interpreted it because it's, if you look at how the horns grow over time, it's kind of creates this curved look, and I think that looks quite nice. Not sure how accurate it is. It's still very speculative, and sometimes mammals aren't really the best comparison for dinosaurs in a lot of ways. But I think it gives it a cool, unique design still, and I think it looks really nice. You can see the skinny skull that makes it prorsus. Very, very wonderful looking, and the skinny tail. So let's watch it have a feed as usual. Look at that thick trike. I'm really, really liking this one. See, I really, really like this. I love it. I really like this. This is like one of the alternate skins. That's the woodland, I believe. They've really got this orange look. I just picked it because it was my favorite. And I think it looks great. Jagged Fang Designs always knocks it out of the park, really. Especially with the newer stuff that they've been making. Like with my Cryopelta and some of the other stuff that will show off coming soon. Because they've got a couple more to show off from JFD. Let's see, she does look wonderful. So look at the scales there. I really love the scale detail. I think that looks wonderful. So yeah, if you guys are trike lovers and you want a good trike mod, this is probably the best trike mod out there at the moment. There are some other Paleo-edit ones, but they don't really change the texture. But I think it looks wonderful. So yeah, now let's move on to the carnivores. So now that we've got another Jagged Fang design one, we've got this one's nice. We've got Allosaurus fragilis, which is the famous one. Watch her have a run there. Wait until she stops. So let's have a look at her now. I really, really like the pattern on this one. Really reminds me of like monitor lizards. I think it looks really great. So we can see this is definitely fragilis. You can tell by a lot of the skull. And it just looks wonderful. We can see... I really like the texture on this one too. It's like some really soft texture, even though you can still see the scales. It looks quite nice. And it goes well with the patterns. There's already been quite a few Allosaurus mods that are based on fragilis. So I'm not going to go too much into detail about the accuracy, but we can see... I really like how they did the crests here. I really like this blue. I'm usually not normally a big fan of blue on dinosaurs, but I think it looks cool on here. I really like this red. I think it really makes it look distinct. It's pretty good patterns. I'm really liking this one. So as we all know, Allosaurus, the big famous Lion of the Jurassic, it keeps getting called. It's from the Morrison and also from Europe and Africa. It's a very, very nice looking animal. Got these really nice claws as well. I'm really liking these claws. I love this wrinkles as well. So there's been a really good plethora of Allosaurus mods. So there's this one, and then I think the last pack, or the last episode, or a couple episodes ago, there was one that was based on another species that was recently described. That was described from Big Al, which is the famous one that with all these injuries. And there's also a couple other species that you can go around and look up. So there's really nice amount of options if you want to go have a look for some nice dinosaur accurate Allosaurus mods. There's really your choice of pickings, and it includes different species as well, because everyone loves Allosaurus, don't they? Everyone loves Allosaurus. So now let's move on to the next one. So now this one's cool. This is a Mamenchisaurus. This is actually done by a friend of mine, Ron Perlman, who Digital Duck also helped with this edit just to make it a little bit better, because he's a good friend of mine, but he kind of just needed some help. But as we all do, we all have to start somewhere. But I'm really excited to show this off because he's a good friend of mine. We have Dilophosaurus, which is really cool. I'm really liking this one. Now, Dilophosaurus has kind of gone through a makeover recently. We'll wait and see her. She comes over here and sits. Kind of gone through a makeover because even though Dilophosaurus is pretty famous for being in Jurassic Park, it's actually not been that well described until recently. There was a whole big monograph, big paper that was describing all the specimens that we had and really gave us a much better look at the animal than we already had. And even though it was kind of like the worst, best known dinosaur, we didn't know that much about it. So now we have a pretty good idea of what it looked like. And we can see a lot of the changes represented here. There was a lot of changes, especially in the face. It's really a lot bulkier than thought interpreted. And you can see this nice crest here. It's very likely that the crest here would have been covered in keratin. It was kind of like a weird, well, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's kind of like a big air sac, but there's also a lot of keratin around here. So it's very possible that there's a big thing, kind of similar to like cassowaries. Big thing of keratin coming around here. It's a big nasal chamber here. Could have been used even to resonate potentially. These are very nice eyes as well. This is really, really nice. You can see the claws. It's just been generally quite bulked up a bit. And a little bit bigger size and all that. I think it looks wonderful. We've got the new claw as well. It's full claws and full fingers. And this is kind of a cool mix as well because this skin is inspired a lot more by the novel Dilophosaurus, which kind of had a lot more of a clouded leopard / regular leopard pattern, along with this red crest, which I think fits well even on the more accurate color. Oh, well, not the color, more accurate proportions and stuff of the Dilophosaurus. I think it's looks really, really good. With the eyes as well. The only thing I would really change is maybe just give a little bit of a lips and a little bit of a flesh around the eye and such. But other than that, it's damn near perfect. Let's see if you add the other claw. So it really tells us a lot about its potential lifestyle and its relations. It turns out that it was actually evolved independently from similar looking creatures and from animals like Cryopelta. It turns out to be kind of its own thing. It shows that like large size kind of evolved independently a lot on these really, really early Giganotosaurus and early dinosaurs, theropods. And we can see also that it was quite a bit bigger. It's assumed that it could probably some say it was a sort of a fish eater, but it seems like it probably was just adapted for hunting whatever it could find, just like most animals are. It's kind of stuck here. You know? Hello, Mr. Allosaurus. Or Mrs. Allosaurus. They're all female. Are they going to have a fight? I'm pretty sure I turned fighting off, but I thought if they would. I think it's quite cool. But next, we've got another Jagged-Fang Designs one. I'm really happy to show this one off. Little guy, he's quite cute. We have got a new Compsognathus. Look at this little cutie. I'm gonna have to make sure to get it quick because I don't want him to disappear in the grass. So we can see a little Compsognathus here. So this one's really, really cool. I'm really liking how this one came out. Another JFD one. Got his little feathers. And the pattern is based on a very close relative. Sinornithosaurus or something like that. Sort of the correct. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, but it's a very close relative of Compsognathus. And we have pretty well preserved specimens. I think it's Sinornithosaurus. Yes, Sinornithosaurus. Pretty good remains. And we know that it had this very, very like reddish pattern, almost like a red panda. That's what it's very often compared to. So we can see the base skin is kind of based off that with the banded tail. I think it's a really, really cool interpretation. And it's cool that we even know the colors of the dinosaurs. So this is based off a very close relative. And I think it looks wonderful. I'm really liking how this one came out. It's even covered in feathers. We can see all the feathers on here. I think it looks wonderful. So let's go. Let's just see this guy. Compy. She's going to go have a run. Look at a little dot there. She's going to have a run for food there. She's probably going to go for water first. She's going to watch her have a little drink. So, though Sinornithosaurus was from China, this guy was from Europe. And it's kind of got quite famous because of Jurassic Park, of course. Can't even spot her at the moment. Let's just wait around here and see when she come around. Kind of lost her. Oh no. It's problem with these really small dinosaurs in these games. See if we can spot her again. Oh. We lost her. We lost her. Oh, there he is. There she is. Trying to feed. I think we missed out on her feeding. They got really nice little animation. Literally just disappeared on me. It's so small I can't really tell where she is. But yeah, this is really nice. It's really nice to see like accurate colors and represented even in Dilophosaurus here. No, the Dilophosaurus Compsognathus. Getting names wrong today, left and right. I'm off the ball. See a little bit of a cute there. A little drinky drink. Let's see a little go shum shum shum. Quite cute. Quite adorbs. I think that's wonderful. Having a little run around. It's kind of disappeared under the water now. Very small dinosaur for the game. Game's like almost breaks just because it's so small. But it's really awesome to see Compsognathus, even though it was a dinosaur in the movies. It's really nice to see it. I really love it. It's really nice to have a little dinosaur like that. So yeah, based off a close relative that we know the colors of. So that was a really, really cool thing. Kind of missed out watching her feed though. That's fine. You should get the pack. It's the Return to Jurassic Park is probably the best pack of all of the DLC for Jurassic World Evolution anyway. So yeah, now we started finishing off with the latest and greatest. We have got, by another friend of mine, Wheat, we have got his Giganotosaurus. So I think that was really nice. Of course, I say a lot of them are really nice, but I think this one looks nice in particular. Just nice to see the proportions fixed up a wee bit. So it's definitely based off of Scott Hartman skeletal, who's the kind of the guy that makes the most professional skeletals. So we can see here that a lot of the changes in the skull. A lot of the original Giganotosaurus from the game kind of had an older based on an older reconstruction that had a really differently shaped skull. It was kind of more elongated. This one kind of fixes it up a bit, make it a little bit more tight and compact. You see, I really like this texture as well. You can see the little crest there, similar to other Giganotosaurids. So this guy's from South America, of course. A lot of people think it lived with Argentinosaurus, but it's a bit too old to live with Argentinosaurus. It kind of lived with its relative Andosaurus, and when you think of Giganotosaurus versus Argentinosaurus, you're thinking of its close relative Mapusaurus, which has a slightly different skull shape as well. So yeah, I'm thinking this guy looks really, really nice. There's two versions of this. There's the ones with the spikes going down the back and the one without. So you can pick your poison. But I still think this one looks wonderful. I'm really, really liking the spikes on this one. It really gives it a different profile. And you can see the changes in the hands, obviously pronated as well, so it's not holding it like a bunny rabbit, it's holding it like it's clapping. Kind of see the feet have been updated a wee bit, just a little touches up to make it look a little better and fit better to what we actually know. I think it looks really, really great. I really, really like this, personally. So yeah, rawr. I think that's kind of a good place to end off now. So it's really nice to do another part for part 11. I really hope we get more of these out to come. There's another big mod coming that I hope you guys will be really excited for. So that's going to be its own series separate from the mod packs. It's the aforementioned Big Duck Feather Pack that I'm really, really, really excited to give a delve in for. And yeah, I'm just really excited for that. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and make sure if you want to keep in touch, and I often reply to comments, and I also, if you want to check out when I'm uploading, you can always click that little bell at the bottom there to make sure you get notified every time I upload something. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.